All right. Hello, and thank you for taking the time to peer review my project. This is going to be the course project for human factors in AI. My name is Victor Utz. Let's get started. First off, the overall scenario. We are hosting a cloud-based service that users can subscribe to in order to be able to better define long-term career goals. Whether there's somebody who's kind of stuck in a mid-range position and wants to know if they're, able to find a happier path, a better career that suits their personality and their work, or even if there's just new additions to the workforce, people fresh out of college or school who want to be able to make sure that they can grow and excel beyond what they've just learned. So basically a life coach online, right? Career coach. And the way we're going to do this tool is going to use a lot of different data to basically come together and say, based on your background, based on job trends that I'm seeing in the past and expectations of where those jobs are going to be in the next 5 to 10 years, here are some good recommendations for what we feel would fit you. And then these are upcoming classes, events, conferences, speaking opportunities, and so on that we think will help you develop in that path. So when we look at that, really our problem is that users are unsure of, the best ways to build their development and really the best career paths for them, right? That are going to lead to what their definition of success is. And their primary tasks that they have to do is they have to submit their resume, their preferences. We'll be asking a lot of categorized questions such as, what do you like about this particular role? What do you want out of a job? What's your work environment, preference, and so on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a ranking of we feel that, these three roles may be your best fit and that these may be things you want to consider. Now, as we look at this, really what we were deciding is that, really guiding the data entry is going to be key rather than simply letting them throw in everything just ad hoc and not getting any kind of qualification around the data they put in. We would have no way of knowing what was a good fit for them. So we're going to ask them, what do they want to do? But we're also going to ask them about the jobs that they have on their resume, such as, was this a desired position or were you just trying to pay the bills? And then as we get those recommendations, right, we're going to keep it nice and simple. We're going to say, here's your top 2 or 3. So we're not giving them 20 things. We're really trying to give them recommendations. We're going to provide clarity around that. We'll talk about that in feedback. But we're going to provide clarity around why we think those are the best fits for them. And then we're going to provide very clear next steps so that we're not simply looking at, hey, this will be a great class to take when you've got 10 more years experience. We want to look at, okay, based on your current experience, these are the events and types of things you should look at. And so that's going to add even more value to the users as they go forward. Obviously, there's a lot of business opportunities on the back of this. This is the whole model, right, is driven around not just subscription service, but also the data mining and then the ability to be able to either market or sell related events through partners, or market or sell data. And of course, we will include transparency around that and an opportunity to opt out of data sales and so on that we'll talk about going forward. As far as user experience design, as I said, they would upload their resume, set their preferences, and then review their recommendations. Pretty straightforward. They'll have an account they can save and that they can come back to and that they can build on. So they can continue to add additional accomplishments or work history items, reviews from work and so on in order to be able to improve the accuracy of their recommendation and to be able to track kind of their development roadmap as they go forward. Okay. So as I said, those ongoing ratings are going to be refined and we're going to be very plain language, right? You enjoy being able to manage people. And that's why we think you want to transition from being an engineer into being, more of a project manager or product manager, something along those lines. We also want to be able to show some confidence ranges around our predictions, right? When looking at careers that we feel are going to be around in 10 years after AI and so on, we have this percentage chance of certainty that that'll be one of the better fits for you that you'll enjoy, that'll still be successful in the future. Obviously, lots and lots of sensitive data here for our privacy considerations, resumes, employee reviews. There is a lot of information here that could, be very damaging if it were to be misused. Obviously, a lot of potential for identity theft there. So we need to be very, very careful about that. We also need to look at bias in several of the different fields. For example, um, a lot of someone's work history could be based on simply what was available at the time. For example, you may have a female who's very interested in really transitioning more into IT, but we may see that, in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, there weren't a lot of females in IT, and so that could potentially skew our results. We also, of course, need to be very, very aware of privacy laws. Since this is professional and business community, GDPR pretty much becomes the primary standard of what we need to set to, because we can't say for certain that these people won't be working international or traveling international. Obviously, CCPA. We really do want to give people the opportunity to opt out of data sales and the opportunity to understand what the data they're giving us and what it might be used for. Of course, we also, when we're looking at career recommendations around people who have a disability or are afraid of a developing disability, such as an injury or a chronic condition that's getting worse, that involves HIPAA. And we want to be, while we may not be a covered entity because we're not necessarily covering it, we definitely want to pay extra caution around any kind of health information. And of course, encrypt, allowed deletion, and lots of notifications that even still most users will just click through, but we have to be sure that they're very clear and lawyer tight. Ethical considerations, we talked about historical hiring patterns, employer reviews. They have users have the right to submit those. We always want to err on the side of our end users, right? We want to give them the benefit of the doubt, give them the positive view, because we're here to help them, not their employers. And we're here to make sure they don't undersell themselves. So we also want to make sure that we're giving them the right kind of light to shine on themselves. And we don't want to allow recommendations to push underrepresentation, such as women or minorities in certain leadership roles, such as men in certain, medical care roles, and so on, right? We don't want to have gender be something that could impact our decisions. We want to definitely have audits in place. We definitely want to be able to document our design. Don't know that appeals, we want to allow questioning of the model. Right? Appeals is probably not the right word there, but it's really going to be around questioning of why was this decision made? Why don't you think I'd make a great CISO or a great CFO at a company? Why don't you consider that? We want to give that ability to push feedback and be able to show also exactly why the decisions were made in a positive sense. We also want to make sure people are very clear that we can only base this on what we're told, and we want to consistently, the whole model encourages feedback of, well, no, I think you're putting too much weight on this particular skill, or I didn't really have a reason to go in that particular direction. So I think we've covered primarily all the different target areas for the discussion. Again, thank you for your time, and I appreciate it, and I look forward to peer reviewing your report next.